you learn over here. And sometimes, I was telling my friend the other day, I said, I told him, there's a person right now working, giving their time at a soup kitchen, and right now there's somebody planning to rob a bank. Mm-hmm. Both people are going to end up in the light. Both paths lead to God. One's just much longer than the other. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I love that.
Right. So, he's like, yeah, you got a point. I'm like, yeah, I know. I thought that one out.
Well, and that just reminds me of the quote that I spoke about in an earlier episode by John Lennon. Uh-huh. Everything works out in the end.
Yes.
And if it hasn't worked out, it's not the end.
Right.
Because we keep going, right?
Right.
So God doesn't care which path you choose because God knows you're going to be there in the end. You know that everything's going to work out.
Right.
So
right.
it's up to our individual choice what we want to choose and what the path is,
right.
that we choose to take.
Right. And he had great songs, and you get more enlightened and more developed and wiser in your soul and everything else. Mm-hmm. John Lennon, you're like, man, this guy was leaps and bounds ahead of most people.
Right.
When it came to what really is important, mm-hmm. It wasn't guns and violence. It was really, love, and that was it.
Yeah. That's all there is.
They may have written a song or two about it, but yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Oh my gosh. So yeah. Oh, well, I think I'm ready to start the show. How about you?
I think we should start the show.
All right.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Augmented Teachings. Let's talk about the things that inspire us to think better, feel better, and in turn be better. How you doing, Brandi?
I am so fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been a week, and we're back here again, and I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Always.
And, I have a few subjects here that you looked over, and you're like, yeah, gave them the nod, yes. Let's talk about these things.
Here we go.
So in the past, I talked about when you ask for $1 million and God doesn't give it. It doesn't work that way. We're here to develop our souls, right? But you can manifest abundance, right? I mean, you wish $1 million. God's like the Easter bunny. He's not going to hide in a closet and you go find it, right? It doesn't work that way. But you can manifest abundance, and you don't really choose how that abundance happens.
Right.
God does the work, and gives you what you need or what you would like to have, right? And tell me what abundance would be for you exactly.
Well, I mean, you can think of abundance in the idea that there's more than enough.
Yes.
That you are satisfied.
Yes.
And so my abundance can look different to somebody else.
Yes.
Think about somebody who's homeless and they have nothing. They don't have food. They don't have a home. They don't have their basic needs met.
Right.
And so somebody can give them some money, a bunch of groceries. To them, that is abundance. They have an abundance of good in their life.
Right.
But to somebody else who's not satisfied, they could have $1 million. They could have all this stuff.
Right.
And they still don't feel abundant, whole, healthy, and complete.
Right.
So for me, abundance is just having enough.
Right.
And knowing that is never ending.
I agree 100%. Yeah. Abundance is having enough and being happy with having that abundance, right? And not always looking up. Not always looking up. I don't have this.
Like wanting more and more.
I don't have a boat. I have a boat now. I don't have a yacht. I have a yacht, but it's only 100 foot. I need a 150 foot yacht. You know what I'm saying?
Never feeling truly satisfied.
Exactly. So being happy with what you have is the only way you can actually acquire abundance. Right.
Absolutely. Yes. At first acknowledging that you have.
Right.
And really being satisfied in that. And I really, really have come to learn more about this word satisfy and being satisfied and having satisfaction in our life.
Exactly. See, with me, I have a nice, my parents just passed and they left me home and some money, and I have abundance financial, and I have a roof over my head and groceries in the cupboard, and my abundance was different. I wanted abundance of people. See, I wanted socialization.
Absolutely.
I didn't have that. So I'm like, I wanted abundance of more friends so I can create more memories, because I know my job, God. My job is to create memories and bring these back home.
Right.
I can't do it with just 1 or 2 friends. I would like to have, 10 friends, 15 friends, where I can actually create more spectacular, more building of relationships and special moments and times.
And we do that through experience.
Yes.
If we are locked in a room somewhere, depressed, watching whatever may be bringing us down vibrationally,
right?
Are we having a great experience?
Right.
Are we experiencing for God?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
No.
And I've always said in the past is lifetimes last an eternity, so choose wisely.
I love that.
You're going to sit in your room and lower your vibration?
Write that one down.
That's what you're bringing home. Right. It's like, really? Congratulations? No, not really. No. Create moments. And it can't all be party all the time.
No.
But you know what? Having something to look at, something to look forward to. And having that will raise your vibration itself. Just knowing you're having a little get together or a dinner party or whatever you're going to, what I'm saying? Or a karaoke night at somebody's house, what I'm saying? Just anything.
Looking forward to an experience.
Right.
With other people.
Exactly.
And that's something too that I had. I had the big, beautiful home. I had the job. I had the money. And it was like, I'm not fulfilled. I'm not satisfied.
Yes.
I need more.
Yeah.
So you know what I did? I gave up everything.
Right.
I walked away from my home. I literally had a complete paradigm shift.
Yeah.
I changed my thoughts. I changed my beliefs. I changed my actions. I changed my feelings. Therefore, I changed my experience.
Yes.
And where I had landed was something so unknown before.
Wow.
And that was that leap of faith that we were talking about.
Yes.
Getting yourself to that edge and taking that first step.
I understand 100%.
And having that faith, that next step, you're always on your path.
Yes. Should I do this? Should I do that? Both the answers are yes.
Yes.
You go left, you'll learn this. You go right, you'll learn that.
And because you're going to have an experience either way.
Right. Exactly. Have an experience, and you're going to learn something either way. And sometimes learn the same old thing over and over, and sometimes you learn something new, like you did. You took that jump, that leap of faith, and here you are, a totally different vibrational person.
Absolutely.
Overcoming certain problems, even physical problems, because your paradigm shift.
Yes.
Right. And that was amazing in itself, because you had been more sickly. Your body wasn't functioning well.
Right.
And then you took a paradigm shift, and now you're like doing so much better.
I was left with a choice.
Right.
Am I going to continue to choose this pattern, or am I going to choose differently?
Yes.
And when you say choose wisely, make that conscious choice.
Yes.
Because either way is yes. So really dig deep and really think about it. But in order to even get there, you have to know yourself, love yourself.
Right.
And be grateful for where you're at.
Right.
Because
I 100% believe that. And learning to love yourself usually will make you pick the path you know is right, but you really don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like drinking, I like to have beer, and sometimes I overindulge, but as I work out at the gym, my willpower increases little by little as I learn to love myself. And then I say, no, I'm not going to do that today. I want to do something else. I want to do something more practical today. Or I'm going to have one beer and that's it.
Right, because you can still engage in certain activities. But it's loving yourself first.
First, right.
And making whatever choice you need to make in that moment.
Absolutely.
But there's a cause for everything. There's an effect to everything, right? We live in a cause and effect universe. So there's going to be consequences to everything. And
that's another true thing too, is where do you want to be? And if you want to be, with a paradigm shift to where you're like, I appreciate things, I have a higher vibration, I look at people and I see God, then you know that you're going to need a slightly different angle on your approach to get to those things. So if you haven't gotten there yet and you're not getting closer, then you're going to have to get off that path and move over to the other path.
You're going to have to change some things.
Right. It might be a little scary, but you know what? There's all kinds of people. Just baby steps it. Baby steps. Even half steps if you have to. But little by little, you're like, oh, you know what? Everything's okay. I made a little shift and everything's okay. Yep. So, and you have friends that will help you, if you ask. Right? Because we're here to develop our souls.
Ask and it is given.
Yeah, ask and it is given, especially when it comes to our priorities, which is soul development and creating memories worthy of taking back home.
Absolutely. 100%. I'm here for it. So that's kind of our take on abundance.
All right. So the next topic that I have here, right, is spirituality and sexuality or intimacy. Because certain people approach intimacy and sexuality different ways.
Yes.
And like I've said before, not all souls here are the same age. Some have been here only a few times and still look at the world through their vessel, and their vessel usually dictates how they see the world, their bodies. And then there's souls that are here much longer, been here many more times, and they're able to overcome their vessel and actually not see themselves identifying with their vessel anymore, and actually becoming more spiritual and godlike in their thought processes. And so there's certain there's LGBTQ, right? I've already talked about that, how if you're one gender for a long time and then you make the switch to another gender, you may not identify with that new gender right away. It may take a lifetime or two. But then you have some that don't identify with their gender at all, such as like a pansexual. Now, I don't know exactly how pansexual sexuality works. You have knowledge of it. Could you explain what that means exactly?
Well, I will tell you that there's so many new terms and phrases and all these different things out there, and it's like every generation comes up with their own way of defining something and speaking about something and identifying with something, right? Yes. And so before it was just you were either straight, gay, bisexual,
right?
That's pretty much like all there was,
right?
And we're talking generations beyond myself, and so recently, I want to say it was a couple of months ago, I heard this word pansexual, and I'm like, well, I've heard of transsexual, but what is pansexual? I didn't know, and so I started looking it up because I am a freak for knowledge and information and growth, and I'm like, hey, this is something that's intriguing me. What is this about? I gotta know, and also because I wanted to be cool and know what the kids were talking about.
That's how we all do what we do, right? That's my main motivation for everything.
I'm going to go home and look that up. Anyway, so I started looking it up, and the more I was reading, I was realizing that I identified as that. And to my understanding, there's a little like a catchphrase, and it says hearts, not parts.
Yes.
Meaning you are attracted to the essence of who this person is,
right? Their
personality, not about, but what they got going on down anywhere.
Their plumbing, right?
Yeah, it's not about that. And then, but that's different from bisexual, because bisexual is like you like both genders, you like both parts. But from my understanding, is pansexual is it doesn't matter what parts they are, what parts they have. It doesn't matter who they identify as. It doesn't matter if they're a woman, if they have female parts, but they look like a man. Right. That doesn't matter. It's who they are.
It's their essence, their vibration.
It's their vibrational essence.
It's their their soul you're attracted to.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And their aura.
Their soul.
Right. So, as I said, some souls have been here many times. Some souls will ascend beyond their vessel, and not even the vessel isn't important anymore. And that's why I feel what you're talking about is the vessel, it doesn't matter. You've ascended past that point to where it's like, oh, wait, it's just the energy that comes off this person. Yeah. And the connection with that energy is what's important. It's the energy,
yes.
Yeah, it's the energy.
So I feel like my spirituality and my sexuality have been changing. Yeah. Because as I'm changing and becoming more of my authentic self, it's like, well, what does that really mean? Who am I?
Right.
And what do I identify with?
Right.
I know that I'm a woman. I know that my name is Brandi. I know that I was born a woman. But, and I do identify as a woman. But on a soul level, there is no gender.
Right.
And so maybe my physical body is attracted to a certain other physical body, but what if my soul is attracted to a soul just because of that soul connection? Right. It has nothing to do with what they look like, what parts they have. And so pansexual is really my spiritual sexuality.
Yes.
That's how I identify. So hopefully I brought some, enlightenment on that.
Right.
But again, I'm still learning and growing and evolving and figuring out who I am and what all this stuff means.
Right. Because we are our soul. We are not our bodies. Right. Our bodies are interchangeable. We have as many as we need. We pass on, we go back home to heaven, and we come back in new bodies, as many as we need to develop our soul, or if we just want to create more memories, we can do that too. We have all options when we go back home and we see God, and we make that decision for ourselves.
Right.
Right. And then then like my situation is a little different, but I've noticed sometimes relationships were hard to work with because some of the souls were younger and identified with their vessel, and it was more of a lust-filled relationship, right? And then I was not that way, and I always thought there was something wrong with me. I was like, no, I want that connection. You know, I want it to be about us, not about pain or whatever they were into, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't, I was like, well, am I just not a man? No, I'm a man, I identify as a man right now. But it was, my soul was to the point to where it was more of a love thing than an actual lust thing. So I had a hard time connecting with women in the past in that situation. Now they could adjust a little bit to me, and I could adjust a little bit to them, but it wasn't comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I go a little bit in there, but that's it. You know, I wasn't fully like with them, and they weren't fully with me. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I've always had a hard time with, is because I always thought there was something wrong, but it's nothing wrong with the way they are either. It's just there was no connection.
Well, certain things were matching and certain things weren't. Right. And they weren't on the levels that were matching, I guess. Right,
they were matching, right. Yeah. And it was just it wasn't as fun when you can't connect with somebody that's in the same area. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I do get that.
That's my take on it, is not all souls are the same age, and they all look at the world and experience the world differently. And there's no wrong or right. It's just the way it is. But if you're out there and you're not clicking with somebody, find somebody that you can click with better. And it's nothing wrong with that, you know, because being fulfilled and creating beautiful experiences is our job. So if you think you can create a better experience somewhere else, you know, cop to it, make it happen.
Exactly, because then you're not living your purpose.
Right.
And that's why I've made the choices that I've made in my life, and because I'm here to experience, I'm here to grow, I'm here to evolve, I'm here to deepen into myself.
Right. We have the freedom to do that as much as we want, whenever we want, however we want.
Yeah.
Because God gives us freedom.
Yes.
And
volition, which is the power to choose.
Right. Free will. We are given free will to do whatever we want.
And the power to do it.
Right. The ability to make that happen.
We're not just allowed to do it. We have the power to do it.
Right. And I think one of the issues that we're having in this society right now is there are certain forces that try to take that power away. Now, first of all, freedom comes from God, period. God gives it to us as soon as we're born. I know a lot of people out there like to say, you know, I fought for your freedom. It's like, no, God gave us freedom.
I already had it.
You already had it. You were fighting against tyranny. Tyranny is expensive. Freedom is always free. It comes from God. So when you fight against tyranny, that's not the same thing. Thank you for doing what you felt was right. But freedom's always free. It's from God. But there are certain, I'll just say it, religions that really fight tooth and nail to take that freedom away from you.
Yeah.
To make you feel through browbeating or through guilt or whatever they do to try to take that freedom that God gives you, and they try to take that freedom back. And I'm saying, I want to tell people, enough's enough. You don't have to do what these religions tell you to do. They are not God. These religions don't add up to a splinter on God's butt. All right? They don't even really exist. They're just theories, they're philosophies, they're interpretations. And that's the problem is God's been here since the beginning of time. No, wait a second. God invented time. Religion did not. All right? And when you look at all these religions, you know, fighting for who's right and who's wrong, it's like, no, none of these religions are really focusing on what's correct most of the time. Most of the time, they're not choosing love and acceptance at any point, acceptance for all. They're choosing the scriptures of dysfunctionals and saying, this is what our religion is based on, is these scriptures of these dysfunctional people, and we're gonna base our religion on that. So, do you have any thoughts on that, Brandi?
I really don't. Honestly, no? I'm sitting here just taking it all in, and I really think that obviously I believe that our thoughts create our reality.
Yes.
And so to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
And the perception of the individual thinker, that's what's going to create their experience. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here to judge and debate any other religions or any, things like that. It's just, it's like, I know my truth. We have a commonality on our truths.
Right.
And that's the thing, is like, there's only really one truth.
Right.
And that's God is all there is.
God is all there is.
And God and I are one. I am an individualized expression of God. I say this probably every episode because that's my truest belief. Right. And how anybody else interprets that, again, to each their own. You know, we're here to share our beliefs. Right.
And there are people that do, they look at the dysfunctional scriptures of judgment and what's whatever, hate and whatever, or it can be interpreted as that.
Thank you. I was just thinking that.
It can be interpreted as that, and they go with it. I'm like, okay, it's fine. But those of you that are like, you know what, I don't even go to church. Don't worry about that. It's not important. Right. Learning how to love is what you're supposed to do. You don't have to go to church. You don't have to, bow a certain direction. You don't have to eat food on certain days of the week.
Or say a certain thing.
Or say a certain thing.
Something.
Right. Or say homage to a certain entity, and then boom, you're in. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
If we couldn't return back home to heaven, we'd never come here to begin with.
Right, exactly.
Period.
Because we already originated from there. We actually haven't really left, but physically we have, because we came here to have this experience, and we can't have it home in heaven because there's no bodies there. No physical bodies. Right.
Our focus is in these bodies. Right. And yes, because our focus is just in our bodies right now. And I know a lot of people are like, because there's a lot of religions that are like losing members,
Yes.
A lot of the young people aren't going. And they like to say that, it's a war on God. And it's like, no, it's not a war on God. It's not even a war on religion, because religion, especially Christianity, can be beautiful, can be, chooses to be not so beautiful a lot of the time. It's actually a war against a dysfunctional interpretation.
I love that.
Right. And that's,
I love that you said
that's
that.
why so many people are not going, is because that it's not matching the vibration of the younger souls that are coming. They're old souls, but they're younger people that are coming into this planet, and they're like a higher vibration. They're like, that's not acceptable. We don't want to judge people. God's about love and understanding and compassion. And I'm watching what you guys are saying, and you're maybe saying it, but you're not doing it.
Well, because we all live in one physical reality together.
Yes.
But we each have our own paradigm.
Right.
Which is our set of thoughts, beliefs, actions, way of being. And so they're not vibrating at the same levels. Right. We're in the same reality. Like, two people can be watching the same movie. Right. One person's interpreting it a totally different way. Right. We can be sharing the same type of meal, the exact same meal, eating the exact same things. Yeah, exactly. You may love it. I may hate it. Right. Because our what we're attracted to is different. Right. What we're picking up on is different. Right. And so that's why we have to co-create a world that works for everyone. Yes. And I really, really truly live to that belief. Because what works for one maybe isn't going to work for everyone. Right. It does. Because of their own, like I said, their own personal interpretation. Right. Exactly. And I think that when these religions actually switch their interpretation to be more loving and accepting, then you'll find more people wanting to go ahead and find out more about it. Because the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. Expressed. Right. And that was the whole point. The whole thing I said right now was just to get that one point. Churches will have to change their philosophies and angle it more towards the teachings of Jesus, and just keep it there. Because Jesus taught acceptance and compassion, and that's the way we're supposed to be, period. And, and the churches will have to, because there's not enough people coming in with that have that old vibration, that old paradigm, old paradigm from the old cycle. It doesn't exist anymore. We're not going to see that probably ever again. So everything looks the same, but it's not. It's not the same. It's really not. So when these religious institutions switch to actually teaching and walking the walk of compassion, and explaining to their flock that when you delve into negative energy and you delve into
your entertainment is watching people throw stones at other people, then that's not going to work for you. That's not the walk of love.
No.
Jesus literally stood up against, do not cast the first stone, but your entertainment every night is to watch people cast stones.
How does that vibrate with love? How does that vibrate with the truth? How does that vibrate that we are all one, and what I allow for you is really what I allow for myself?
Right.
So we know that now.
Right.
And because of this new paradigm that a lot of us are in, that's a common understanding. We know that.
Right.
But there are some people who still have not fully realized that yet, or have even opened the door to that realization yet. And that's why we're here to have these conversations.
Exactly. I was going to say the same thing. That's why we're here. We're not the only ones, though, by the way, people. So there's other people out there that are starseeds, I guess you would call them.
I love that you said that. Yeah.
And they come down here like, hey, you know what? My job, I want to go help people see love in life, see God within each other, and get past this BS that we're kind of wallowing in and have been for a long time.
I have some advice.
Yeah, what's that?
Never grow up. I mean, you think about it, though. You know, so many of these children.
That's a pansexual. Never grow up. Gotcha.
Never grow up.
Peter Pansexual. Got you.
You know, that's funny because I actually made that connection a couple of weeks ago, and it's like I didn't tell anybody that, so that's really funny. I love it.
Never grow up. Yeah, you know, you don't want to lose what you had as a child because you see so much wonder.
It's the innocence. It's the pure essence.
Right. You don't know you're supposed to hate these people or hate those people or judge those people or slander those. You don't know those things. You're a child. And it's a beautiful thing.
We're taught that.
And we're taught that. Exactly.
Conditioned to think certain ways, and that's the old construct, right?
It's the old construct. Exactly. And I know everybody, a lot of the people, I know people in my family, you know, the Bible, they want to make it all the same and even. And, you know, every scripture was the breath of God. It's like, yes, could be, might be, right? But we all put our 2 cents in. And that's the problem, is when you give a message, like we were just talking about how we see the world, you give a message to somebody, it goes through a filter of a human.
Absolutely.
And that filter can change a lot of things. And exactly. And if you're, that's why when Jesus he walked the walk of love. So when you see his scriptures, you're like, yeah, that's all loving. But you may have a loving scripture sent to somebody that wasn't loving, and they put their own 2 cents in it, or put their own spin on it, because they weren't Jesus. Because
they were perceiving it from a certain standpoint, right? And all of that information was being filtered through that perception. Right. And so it was being interpreted a certain way, and that truth was now muddied up.
Right. Right. Yeah, we put our own 2 cents on everything. Right. No matter what it is. Like you said, you're reading a book, 2 people get 2 different things out of it. Yeah. Right. And one of the things is all the writers were the same caliber of Jesus. Seriously, they just were not. And when we look at it that way, I mean, even like I always try to explain to people like Revelation, you know, they're like, oh, that's going to happen. I was like, that was only one potential. That was one potential. And if this person didn't have love and laughter and humor in their hearts, they didn't see any loving, laughter, and humorous potentials.
Exactly. They couldn't even imagine it.
Right. And that's why I'm like, people always ask me, does tarot work? Does people who do this and do that type of divination type of thing work? And I'm like, it depends if they're neutral on it. Right? Because I would watch, I remember before the 2020 election, about 10% of the tarot readers said Trump was going to win. About 90% said Biden was going to win. But the ones that said Trump was going to win wanted Trump to win. They saw that potential. And there was a potential where he could have won. If he would have been pro-right, not anti-left, he may have pulled it off. But he wasn't. He had too much hate for the other side and spewed it. So that side came up and voted. Right. But 90% said, no, Trump's going to win. I mean, Biden's going to win. 90% said Biden's going to win. I'm like, okay. And how come these people, well, those tarot readers were wrong? No, they saw potential because they were biased already. So if you're asking neutral questions to a tarot reader, they're going to have a better response to what you're asking, if they're neutral on the subject. And, God controls every atom. God is every atom. So when they're flipping the cards and they're shuffling, the little nuances, the atoms in your fingertips creating different little nuances, causing certain cards to pop out, not certain cards to pop out. That all has to do with how we interact with those cards and making certain things happen. But you have to be neutral on that subject, and then you have a better potential of knowing the future, or getting general answers for a certain question. So hopefully people understand a little bit how that works.
Yeah, that was a lot to kind of unpack.
It was. I know, and it's just another Friday for me.
But it's the truth. The truth is the truth.
And that's kind of how it works. And I dreamt a week before the election. I dreamt Trump would lose by 9 million votes. Okay. I dreamt it. It wasn't 6 months in advance because there's too much time. There's too many things can change. Too many variables.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, too many variables. So I dreamt it, and I'm like, and I felt relieved. I was like, oh, he's gonna. It was more like 7, but I dreamt he lost by 9 million votes, and I was like, okay, well, hopefully things will go better. There's not so much hate. Hate will start dropping off a little bit.
Well, because we talk about that collective consciousness.
Yes.
And whatever the majority of the individual consciousness are vibrating at, that's where we're going to be as a whole unit on planet Earth.
Yes.
And so that's why there are those of us that are here to shift the individual consciousness and shift the individual energy and vibration, and then ripple that out.
Yes.
Because the more we can each elevate our own selves, the more, remember we were talking about in a previous episode, like there's a pool. We're all in that same pool.
Yes.
And if I work on cleaning up my individual area of the pool, guess what? The pool is going to get cleaner and cleaner. And if we all do that, if we all raise our vibration, we all go back to that source, which is love. That's the truth.
Exactly.
Then we can elevate and raise our consciousness as a species.
Exactly. And that's why, you don't watch cable.
No, actually, I don't.
I don't either.
The other day, I had to watch live TV, and I'm like, I don't even know how to do this anymore. Like, it was so weird. I couldn't even scroll through the guide or anything. I'm like,
yes.
What? I don't do that.
Yeah, I definitely don't watch cable news because it's too much. It's too heavy. It's too much stone throwing going on.
I just can't. It does not resonate.
I want to find love. I want to find compassion. I want to find empathy. I want to find commonalities.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because we haven't had a family reunion since the rise of Trump because too many splits in the family. Wow, yeah. Yes, we haven't had a family reunion because
and so many people can identify with that.
Right. And it's just like, dang, they were my favorite people in my whole world, And we just can't. We haven't had one. We just can't do it. It's just too much. It's too far. And they're too far along down one road and we're too far down along another. And it's like, I'd like to just let all this go. And I can stop watching and just be like, hey, you're my relative. Come on in. I love you. Right? But then if you just say one word, gas prices, and then they'll go off on, they'll just go down a nasty road. And I'm like,
those are called crazy makers in your life because they're here to disrupt the force.
And that's why I'm just like, you know what? I already know that is a bumpy road.
Yeah.
So I try to stay on my smooth roads and develop myself. I'm not here to fix them. And that's another reason why I don't watch, cable news, right? I don't watch cable news because I'm not here to fix anybody else. You have one person to fix while you're here. One. That's it.
And
yourself.
Who's that?
Yourself.
Exactly.
You're not even here to fix your kids. You're here to guide your kids, but not fix them. You're here to fix yourself.
Yeah.
If you were perfect, you wouldn't come.
I'm already perfect. It is. We already are perfect, healthy, whole, and complete.
Yes.
We just have to embody that here in this physical.
I always say the younger we are, the more the vessel wins. And the older you get, the better you are at kicking it to the curb and saying, no, we're going to do good today. Right. It just takes practice.
Training.
Yes. Back home, we're fearless. We're loving. We're altruistic. We just love helping each other, working in groups, and everybody's friendly and happy together.
Because we have that unity.
Right. And then here, these vessels, we think we're separate, and we're actually not. And it kind of sucks. But now we all can make a conscious choice to say, you know what? Enough is enough. Let's get together and, hold hands and break bread.
Yep.
Exactly. Damn. That was a lot.
It's funny because my brain is quite funny. And so as you're talking, there's like these 5 other realities that are happening in the moment. But I was just like, I was given this vision of like a carrot patch, and we're all carrots.
Yes.
Like I'm a carrot, you're a carrot, you're a carrot,
Yes. Yes.
And we're all in the same soil. And it's just interesting because why would we want to wish like ill to happen to another being, another vessel, another person?
Right.
Because we're all in this together.
Right. Especially ones you have never met.
It's like, oh, there's a carrot over there, and I just don't like the way that they're growing.
And that's what our society has come to. They hate people they don't even know.
But they don't realize we're all in the same soil.
I
So
know.
like we're all taking from the same. we're all connected.
We're all connected, right?
So that was the fun little skit that my brain was just showing me. So
interesting. Yes, I agree, 100%. Oh my gosh.
So what's up next?
So when we're continuing down the same kind of road, is the presence of love is the absence of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And when we learn to overcome judgment, the world of love opens up, not only to others but to yourself. I think I talked about I had social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stopped judging others negatively and I started looking for the positives in others, then my social anxiety went out. So the love for myself increased.
Absolutely.
That happens with other people too. If you quit judging, you will find love, and you'll find camaraderie and acceptance and compassion and laughter and love and beautiful moments.
You know why?
What?
Because you're changing that inner filter.
Yes.
So now you're seeing with the eyes of love, compassion, unity, oneness, instead of all this distorted crap that we've been programmed and conditioned to think.
Right. And I think as we practice that more and more and more and more, little by little step by little step,
right,
it starts to become more clear of a picture.
Yep.
It's a little fuzzy at first, and then it gets more focused. And you're like, hey, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Let's go a little farther. But when people realize, there's so many people that just live their lives not thinking about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
They're thinking, oh, I got to make money. I got to pay the mortgage.
Because they're still living in that old paradigm.
Right. That's all I'm here to do. It's just, I'm just a slave to corporations, and I just need to make money and support my family, and then I make some kids, have a few memories, and go home and die.
I fall in line and I do the same pattern over and over that all these generations have been doing, and what society is telling me I need to be doing.
Right, and that's not that's just the background to what your real job is.
Absolutely, those are just the details of maneuvering through this experience.
So the stories that we have, are just the things we do, our professions. Those are our backdrops to what our real goals are.
Right.
It's learning unconditional love, and the problem is in that old paradigm we didn't even think that. You go to church, you worship, you're done, you're good to go, and then you spend the rest of the week going to work and just living your life. It's like, no, because there's some other stuff you can do.
That reminds me when I was a little girl and my dad was reading the Bible, and I had all these questions, and I was just that free, open spirit that I naturally am. And I'm like, well, what about this? And what does this mean? And how about this? And, I was just thinking. And he stopped me and he's like, no, you don't question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? He's like, you're not supposed to ask why. You're not supposed to question. You're just supposed to take this as for what it is.
Oh, yeah.
And he got I got in trouble.
Right.
Like he got mad at me and I don't know, sent me to my room or something because I was questioning. And I'm like, what?
Right.
Like just because something has always quote unquote been this way.
Right.
No, because again, it's up to the individual interpretation. Well, what about my interpretation of that is way different. So can we talk about that?
Yeah.
And
no.
We're conditioned to not.
And the crazy thing is this: that book isn't God, but you were.
Right, I know.
So yeah, that's what it boils down to. You look at those eyes, you're a piece of God. The book is not.
The book is not.
The book is not God.
The book is just words
It's just
and
words.
paper and
right.
You know,
And
this physical thing.
And some of the pages have nothing of value on the pages. There's more God in the paper than there is in the words on the paper.
Exactly. Oh, I love that.
You're going through the begats and the begats and the begats. It's like there's nothing there for you.
Yeah.
There's no learning.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's
It's
more.
just words.
There's more God in the paper than there are in the words on the paper.
I love that. Write that one down.
But yeah. So yeah, the next subject that I want to talk about is there's this idea that there's people going around canceling culture, right? And I think there's a misunderstanding. They're not canceling culture, right? Like, well, look at the South. The South has amazing food. People canceling their amazing cuisine in the South? That soul food?
I don't think so.
No, they have a laid-back atmosphere that just makes you want to
Kind
go
of a
down there and just
chill
chill.
vibe sometimes.
And people canceling that?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. How about Southern hospitality? Are they? No, I don't think anybody's canceling that either.
In fact, I think a lot of people are trying to have that more.
Yes, and create that more in their lives.
Yeah, and go back to that. Go back to the roots.
Yeah, how can I slow down and get out of this busy
Hustle and
cycle that we
bustle
have,
and
especially here in California? It's busy.
Go
all the time, right?
Yeah, like, no, let's sit and chill for a little
I know.
while. Let's have that.
I want to soak that in, right?
I want to have this experience. I don't want to go do. I want to be.
Right. I don't have an hour 15 minutes for the experience. I want half a day for this experience.
Yeah,
right.
exactly,
I want to
yeah.
relax a bit. Right. There's a problem is with this new cycle and all these old souls being born now. Back home, there's no hate, there's no fear, and there's no judgment. And what they're seeing is relics from the old cycle. There's relics that exist that are steeped in judgment, hate, and fear, and they are not accepting of those specific things. People aren't canceling culture, they're canceling hate. And if that culture has relics or is riddled with hate, that's where there's a problem.
And when we continually focus on that, it's going to continue.
Yeah.
That cycle is going to continue.
Right.
And these people who are here to assist in awakening humanity,
Right.
they're coming at a whole set of rules.
Right.
And they're coming with a different knowledge. And they know that what we allow is what will continue. And
Right.
even if we're looking at that and we're talking about that, all that stuff happened in the past.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it takes away from what happened, but we don't need to focus on that. We need to start right where we are and build a better future for all of us.
Right. I agree. And that's where a lot of people are sitting right now is like, this shouldn't be part of our civic town center of having something that was a statue of a person that was hate-filled or a Confederate leader or had slaves. We don't want that type of person to be up there.
Right.
To where
because what does that represent?
What
right?
represent about us? We have to learn. Now we're not taking that person away. We don't want to look up to a person like that that did these things.
We don't want to praise them for what they did because now we know different.
Right. And I always had this idea that when we put a statue up of somebody we want to look up to and focus our attention to be like
and like show appreciation
right
for,
show appreciation for, I always think they had to be good in their service and in their home life. Both, right? So
it's that integrity.
You have Lee, great general, right? But on slaves, not good in the home life, right? Christopher Columbus, right? He was a great sailor. He kind of founded America, kind of, right? But he also was in the sex trade of underage girls. Not good in his service, right? That's what he did, among other things. But then you also have Michael Jackson. Great performer, good in his service, not good in his home life. Don't put a statue up because there's no need. Enjoy the music, but don't look up to being like that. Right? That don't put a statue up like of a person that's not good in both areas. You know what I'm saying? or it didn't at least didn't hurt somebody. Like you look at JFK, right? Good in service, good human. He cheated on his wife, yes, but he didn't hurt anybody, maybe his wife. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he's benefiting or making money off of the pain and suffering of others.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Right.
You know, he wasn't perfect, you know, but
he was also here to learn and grow too as a soul.
Learn and grow too. So I would say, yeah, JFK put a statue up and look at it and be like, yeah, that's a person I would love to be like and look up to. Sure, no problem. And that's the problem is we're finding so many relics from the old cycle that seemed passable in the past, and now they're not passable. Like, wait a second, this person should not be put on a pedestal, literally put on a pedestal like that, because they may have done one thing, one part of their life was good, the other part of their life sucked, and they shouldn't be there. It was very dysfunctional and does not need to be made iconic, so to speak, that person, because they didn't meet all the criteria of being good at home and good at service.
Now, I'm gonna get real for a second.
Go ahead.
So, what if it is an individual that's now here?
Yes.
Okay, and they lived a certain amount of their life as a pretty, you know, they weren't having a good experience, and they weren't projecting as good. They were living in that lower vibration because that's what they came here to start as. But then they woke up.
They woke up. They
had a revelation. They had a paradigm shift. So now they're doing good in the world. Now they're giving back. They completely transform, so to speak.
Right.
So then now the second part of their life, and then, you know, now they die, and people are like, wow, you know, this person, they helped so many people. They awakened humanity. They did all this good service, and they were a good person. They became love.
Right.
So does that mean that now we can't, you know, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's like, I see it the same way. Is with this, I wasn't perfect. I'd done some stuff in my day, especially when I was younger, right? But I didn't benefit from the suffering, pain of others. So I made mistakes, you know, maybe dabbled here in some drugs, or maybe drank too much beer here, or maybe, you know, was in bad relationships, or I said bad things, right? But I didn't benefit. It wasn't my job to hurt others, you know, and I didn't choose to hurt others. You know what I'm saying? It was like Christopher Columbus, he chose to do this. This was his profession, and he made a lot of money doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Generally made lots of money with his slaves. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, if he had a full reformation and said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to stand against slavery. That would be different, because he learned from his lesson.
Right.
But he never did that. Now, if a person, this is America, everybody believes in second chances.
Yeah.
If you did do something like that and you became 180 and said, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do that, then I understand. It depends, you know what I'm saying? But Lee didn't do that.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus didn't do that. But yeah, another thing, like I said, if they didn't benefit from the pain and suffering of others, and they just weren't enlightened, low energy, and they came back, became high energy, then yeah, that's fine. You know?
Okay, so now I have another real talk question real quick.
Go ahead.
So, you know, we talk about no judgment.
Yeah.
That we all signed up to have this experience, right? As a soul. So they signed up to, you know, quote unquote, play that role, to be that evil person, or to do that bad, to basically show that contrast, the opposite of love, right? So how do we not judge them for what they did and who they were?
I agree 100%. There are people here who are here to teach us, right?
Yes.
And lo and behold, there's a lot of people that do it that we don't know about, like homeless people. Show us compassion. Some have chosen to be there as a learner and a teacher, because they are learning to overcome humility and materialism and ego.
Right.
And they're also the teacher, because when you see them, you feel empathy and compassion for most people, not all. Right. So they're the learner and the teacher. They're doing double duty right now.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but Trump came here, and he was the one that was supposed to be here at that time.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. COVID was he was taking COVID on the chin, right? and that's one of the things that we have to look at is true. These people did choose to do this, but I don't think that there's somebody that we should, like with Trump, I don't think it was somebody that we should admire. They may have done this, but it may have been a karmic debt also. Exactly. Yeah. So I wouldn't say, let's put stuff up with Trump because how much division he caused. He caused so much pain. So right. I haven't had a family reunion because of the hate that he's been spewing. He's hurt this country so bad as far as love is concerned. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, oh, well, he made his money, so we're good. No, we don't take the money home. We only take the love. Yeah, exactly. Where's the love? So the priority was of the old cycle. And he was the right person for the job at the right time. Yep. Right. So, but I'm not going to idolize that type of action. Yeah. Personally. From a higher standpoint, it's like, okay, I understand that all parties involved, it was all necessary. It had to happen exactly how it did. From my human standpoint, I don't have to like it. Right. I don't have to really accept that. From my higher self, though, I have to know that everything has unfolded perfectly. Yeah. And so who am I to judge? Right. But moving forward, I can choose the experiences that I want to have for me as an individual. And I think if more people can get on board with that, that's going to lessen that division and bring us back into that unity. And it's not like these people that are quote unquote cancel culture, but they're canceling hate. It's not like they are doing it on purpose. Like they have hate. When they actually see these figures that have done such horrible things to humanity, they get a gut reaction of negative feelings towards that image. Absolutely. It's not like, they just want to cancel because they're jerks. No, they really feel it. They're tapping into that energy and that vibration, and they're like, no more of this. Right. And I can see it in you every time I say Christopher Columbus. You make a horrible face, and I'm like, you're feeling it. I do, and I have to really kind of take a look back for you take it back, and you back off, and I'm like, it's a gut reaction. Because when you have love and compassion, when you see something so dysfunctional, it's like vomit in your face. Truly. It feels like filth. Filth, exactly. And there are people that are so tapped into those feelings that we're like, no, we don't want to feel that. Right. We don't want to expose myself to that, and we don't want to continue that for anybody else to feel that. Right. Because it's just going to keep continuing to lower the vibration as the consciousness of all. And our job is to learn from our mistakes. And that's another thing, is they're taking all the mistakes that white people made. We got to take those out because we can't make anybody feel bad. It's like, wait a second. If we don't learn from them, we're bound to repeat those mistakes. Right. And the other thing is, it's not going to work anyway, because most teenagers don't get their information from school. They get it from the internet. So unless you become North Korea and you actually block off the internet from going into Florida, guess what? It's too bad. Matter of fact, the simple fact that you don't want them to know, they're going to want to know now. Exactly. So good luck to you, Florida. Anyway, I'm done. How about you? I think I'm pretty complete. Me too. We covered a lot of subjects, and I think we should thank for all the listeners for tuning in and tuning in. Oh my God, I'm old. Thanks for being here. For checking us out, and always have love and laughter in your heart, and keep moving forward. Bye-bye. Take care.